Hi, we're going to go through some examples on how to estimate a population proportion. Now, what you'll notice in these examples is that there is no mean or standard deviation. So here we have a description of 1,506 adult Americans, and 75% of them said they frequently have symptoms of sleep problems. No mean, no standard deviation. Here's another one. Here we have 1,000 adult Americans, and they were asked whether certain circumstances affect whether or not they feel satisfied with their lives, and 515 of those 1,000 said they were very satisfied with their lives. So there is no mean, there's no standard deviation. There is a sample size, and in one case, we know what percentage of our sample have a characteristic, and in another case, we know how many of our sample have a given characteristic. So these are our p-hat problems. We've seen these before, and in Chapter 7, we had to calculate a standard deviation of p-hat, which involved taking the square root of p times q divided by n. But in these problems, we don't normally know the values of p or q, so we can't calculate the standard deviation of p-hat. We can calculate what's called an estimator, though, and the estimator we're going to use is S of p-hat. In this case, S of p-hat is equal to the standard deviation of p-hat times q-hat over n. And just like in Chapter 7, where p plus q equals 1, here p-hat plus q-hat equals 1. Now, to construct our confidence interval, we have a point estimate, and we're going to add and subtract a margin of error. This time, our point estimate is not x bar. Our point estimate is our sample percentage, our p-hat. We'll have to find a z-score, and then we'll use that estimator, S of p-hat. So here's an example. According to a survey of 1,506 adult Americans conducted by the National Sleep Foundation, 75% of them said that they frequently have symptoms of sleep problems, such as frequently waking during the night or snoring. So what is our point estimate? Well, our point estimate is our sample percentage, that is 75%. Now we're going to construct a confidence level, or interval. We're going to find a 99% confidence interval for the percentage of all adult Americans who frequently have sleep problems. So we draw our picture and note that there is 0.005 worth of area in each tail. And using Desmos, we can find a z-score of 2.58, or you could use inverse norm choice 3 on a graphing calculator. And so our point estimate, p-hat, is 0.75 plus or minus 2.58 times the square root of 0.75 times 0.25 over 1,506. Remember that p-hat plus q-hat has to equal 1. So now we have our point estimate, 0.75 plus or minus our margin of error. So 0.029 is our margin of error. That gives us a confidence interval from 0.721 to 0.779. So we can say we're 99% confident that our population proportion, P, is between 72.1% and 77.9%. So we could say that somewhere between 72.1% and 77.9% of all Americans have those kind of sleep problems.